What's up, family? Welcome to the very first episode of the Listen Man podcast. Man, so happy to be here. So happy that you're here with me. Of course, it's Listen Man. It's the show for the fans by me, a fan. Episode 1, we're going to talk about load management. Is resting NBA players a good thing or a bad thing? What do you guys think? We'll talk about it as fans. I'm your host. I'm Kevin, aka Kevy Kev, aka Big Kev, or aka you can call me whatever you want to as long as it's something cool that starts with a K. So let's get into it. Episode 1 of Listen Man Podcast. Remember, if you're here on YouTube, make sure that you hit that thumbs up. Make sure that you subscribe. On Instagram, make sure that you like. Make sure that you follow. And more importantly, as I always say, man, make sure that you share. Share with any and everybody, even people you don't like. If they like sports, share it. Tell them to come on over. We welcome everybody. So let's get it. The Listen Man Podcast. Let's go. So welcome to the very first installment, the very first episode. I just want to thank everybody in advance for taking some time out of your day to spend it with me. We're just going to have some fun. As I mentioned before, it's a positive podcast. We're not going to bash anybody. We're not going to talk reckless, but we are going to just talk about topics that have come up before as if we're, friends, fans, talking to each other. So that's how we want to do it today. So we're going to talk about something that's been in the news for the last few weeks, and that's been the load management. If you remember, it started with Joel Embiid going down injury-wise. And a lot of the players started complaining, talking about the new rule and how it affected Joel Embiid wanting to play in that game. And now he's hurt, possibly for the season. So to get started, let's just look at what the new rule is. And I'm just going to read that, and then we can talk about why this new rule is implemented. And then from a fan's perspective, like what does that mean? And how do you guys feel about it? Do you feel the way that I will feel about it? We'll find out. So let's look at the rule first. So the NBA Board of Governors implemented this new load management rules, now known as the Players Participation Policy, or PPP. So the rules are designed to address player resting during the regular season. And it makes this point. It says the primary objectives of these rules are to ensure the availability of star players for key games, including those on national television and in-season tournaments. So here's the key points. Number 1, limiting rest for star players. So no more than one star player from a team can be unavailable for the same game. Teams must ensure that star players are available for national TV games and in-season tournaments. The second thing, fines for violations. Teams that violate these rules will face significant fines, which could escalate into the millions for repeated offenses. These rules aim to strike a balance between player health and the league's competitive integrity, ensuring that fans can witness star players in crucial matchups. So here's what got people up in arms. To be eligible for most major NBA awards and honors, the player must play at least 65 of the 82 games. Now, here's what's interesting about this. That 62 games, 65 games out of the 82, it seems like it might be a lot, but in actuality, in the grand scheme of, say, the MVP, it's really not a big deal. So the NBA has been around for 62 years. And 32 of the MVPs that have won the MVP award, most valuable player of the league, have played over 80 games. So it's not far-fetched to ask for your best players to play. So this is the new rule. But what we have to do is just take a minute and go back as to why the new rule is actually here. So if you look back a few years ago, load management began to take over. It started really with Popovich in San Antonio, with Tim Duncan and Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, and Kawhi Leonard. Then Kawhi Leonard kind of traveled to Toronto. He did it there. And then now in the Clippers, he's been doing it there. Of course, he's been injured. We know that. But he became synonymous with load management. But then as he started winning championships, other star players began to do it as well. So right now the league says that majority of load management happens on back-to-backs. That means players are saying that load management benefits them health-wise. Now, there's a great report on The Athletic, if you look it up online, to where a doctor basically broke down that theory that load management actually helps players last longer and it keeps them healthier. And there's really no evidence showing that that's actually the case. But the players are on one side of it, and of course the league and the owners are on another side of it. So the players look at it from the standpoint of they're resting, they're taking care of their bodies, and they need load management for certain games. The NBA is looking at it saying, hey, we have to pay you, and the way that we pay you is by means of getting television deals. We cannot get those deals if you're not playing the games. Very simple. And if we don't get those deals, then you don't get the contracts that you want. But now here's the question that I have. Where do the fans come in all of this? I know that the NBA has to look out for itself, and I know the players have to look out for themselves, and they both feel that they have to do that. But I think one crucial aspect about this is the fans. We just seem to get left out. And no matter what, the fans are the most important part of the NBA. Just like most sports, the fans make up the league. No matter how they want to slice it, they could have the most lucrative TV deals. They could have the most lucrative Fortune 500 as sponsors. But if there's no fans in the stadium and the seats cheering, if there's no fans buying jerseys, if there's no fans buying the food in the stadiums and supporting their teams, traveling with their team, those things wouldn't matter. Same thing for the players. If there were no fans doing exactly the same things that I just said, then the players' salaries would not be what they are. So it really does start with us, doesn't it? The fans. So how do you feel about load management? How do you feel about this new rule? Well, I know for me as a fan, I understand it. And realistically, I can see it from both sides. Playing basketball myself, I understand the toll that it takes on your body. And on that level, I can only imagine what these men go through. And so I can understand that. And then from a business side, running businesses myself, I understand that you have to make revenue. And sometimes that means making people uncomfortable. But as a fan, to be honest with you, I look at it a little bit differently. As a fan, I feel like for us, we're just simply asking players to play. It's a game. It's a game that they love. It's a game that I love. And so if any of us were able to get paid for doing something that we absolutely love, then doesn't it make sense that we should do it? Think about it like this. On a day-to-day basis, you and I go to work every single day. It doesn't matter whether we're hurt. It doesn't matter whether we're sick, whether we don't feel world's greatest. If we work indoor or outdoor, if the weather is bad or good, we still go to work. We have to take care of our family. It's just life. Unfortunately, it is. I'll tell you a story. I've had 2 hip replacements. And before I had them replaced for about 5 years in between both of them, I had 2 stores. And in those stores, I had to do a little bit of everything to show my employees that if I could do it, they could do it. So that may have meant unloading trucks that had refrigerators and stoves and many other things on it. Literally, me and Mr. Alive got to know each other very well because there were days that I literally would have to pop upwards of 4 Alives just knowing what the day was going to entail between walking, lifting, pulling, and dragging. That's what I needed to do. But I have responsibilities. I have to take care of my responsibilities. And in order for me to do that, I have to get paid. So if that meant I went to work hurting, then I went to work hurting. If it meant that I came home and hurt even more, I did what I had to do. And then I regrouped to do it again the next day. Now, that probably sounds a lot like you, doesn't it? Most of us fans work. So just imagine, before I even got to work, not being able to get comfortable in the bed, tossing and turning so you're not sleeping well. Then you get up, and don't let it be raining outside, because Mr. Arthur Rightus, he would feel the rain and make you feel it too. So you don't sleep well. You get up, you get dressed, you're hurting, you have to walk. And then one of the stores was about 40 minutes away. So by the time I sat for 40 minutes in the car and got there, I was stiff. Then I would hurt even more just to get out to go to work. Do you guys care about that? No, you don't care about that because we all have to do it. So let's look at it. Let's look at it in like a different perspective this way. Let's just break down the NBA salary. So looking at the person who makes the least amount of money on the team player wise, that's the guy sitting at the very end of the bench, the guy that only gets in the game before the game starts and at halftime for shoot around, and when he's high-fiving players during timeouts when they come off the floor. Now that player can make $1 million a year. That's the average salary of that particular player in the league. The lowest paid player makes $1 million a year. Now, if he can last more than a year, then that can go upwards of 3 million. But let's just take that $1 million. So I did a quick math. I'm not a mathematician. Fortunately, I have a nice calculator. And so I did the math and breaking down what the average American salary is. It's $60,000 is what Google says. 60,000. So think of that. And even the percentage of people who make 60,000 is probably less than that. But on average in the US, 60,000 is the base. So we'll use those two numbers to kind of throw out a theory and then tell me what you think. So in order for a person who makes $60,000 a year to make that 1 million, he or she would have to have a mate plus 15 children to include in their household income to make up $1 million. You catch that? So if I make $60,000 a year, then that would mean I would have to have 16 other people in my house making the same amount for us to make $1 million as a household for the year. Now, for me, that kind of puts it in perspective that NBA players making $1 million who also get to travel in style on private planes, team planes, stay at the best hotels, eat the best food, also get the best treatment, physical therapy, get to travel and visit the best stadiums. They get the best seat for the games. They get paid $1 million. So now think of all of the superstars who use load management. Some of them, like Steph Curry, are getting paid $50 million a year. Now break that down, $50 million. So that means every time Steph Curry steps on the court to play, he makes over $600,000. So as fans, is it too much to ask for us to want our star players, the players we root for, the players we love, to play? And I think that that's what gets lost. Here's another story. About a year ago, had some difficulties, a lot going on in life. And so my brother, my close friend, we go back 30 years. He reaches out. He says, yo, Kev, listen, man, I know you've been going through it, bro. Why don't we get together and do something? Just me and you. Let's just get away for the weekend. What do you think? I was like, yeah, what do you have in mind? So we started talking, and he's from Philly. I'm from Pittsburgh. So the Eagles and the Steelers they were playing. We were like, let's do this. Let's go ahead and either fly to Philly, drive to Philly, whichever one. I'll come and scoop you. We'll go up. We'll meet. We'll get a hotel, whatever. We'll stay. Show me around the city since you're from there. And then we'll catch the game. And, just to get away. Well, sadly, it didn't work out because I had some family things come up back in Pittsburgh that we had to take care of. And so we weren't able to make it to the game. But we were like, listen, instead of going to a football game, let's go catch an NBA game since we both wanted to see our teams play. And once we missed it, that was pretty much a wrap for that. So we started looking at the Philadelphia 76ers schedule. And here's where it gets a little bit murky, a little bit. And that is the fact that we started looking, in the first game that we came upon that was in Philadelphia, that was close by date wise where we wanted to be. So we didn't have to worry about traveling in snow or bad weather, was against the Charlotte Hornets. And to be honest with you, I was like, man, I can go down to my local gym where I hoop at and see that level of basketball. No disrespect to the Hornets, but last year, that's pretty much what it was. Most of the team was hurt. And I was just like, I can see those same type of players down at my gym. Just is what it is. So the next game was against Golden State. So we circled that one, and we were like, man, get a chance to see Steph up close, get a chance to see Clay and Dre and those guys up close, to get a chance to see Joel Embiid and James Harden up close. That might be the one. Started looking at the ticket prices. Now, I'll be honest and tell you that me and my guy, we get a little bougie when it comes to games. If we're going to go to a game, especially if we're going to travel, we don't mind spending a little bit more because we want to be close to the action. So we were looking at somewhere between 3 or 4 rows back from the floor. We wanted to be close enough to where we can, get that full experience. We could hear the trash talking. We both love sports. So that's what we wanted. Now, as we looked at tickets, the tickets were somewhere between $900 and $1,200 per ticket. That's a lot of money. But we were kicking it around, and as we were talking about it, we would talk about it and talk and talk. So finally, it got to the point where we were just like, "Look, let's just go ahead and do it." And then he said something to me that was real interesting. He said, "Yo, Kev, could you imagine? We spend this money to travel up there. We spend this money on a hotel. We spend this money on these tickets, not including food, where hot dogs are $14 or $15 at that stadium, where pretzels are $11, where pop is $9 or $10." A burger is $16 to $17, not including food. We could spend anywhere upwards of $1,200 to $1,600 just to go see a game, if not more than that. And he said, "Kev, now imagine we did all of that and Joel Embiid don't play because he's load management. Or maybe James Harden or Steph or Clay doesn't play. Or maybe 3 or 4 of them decide to load manage. Could you imagine how hot we would be if we spent that kind of money on a game and they didn't show up?" The NCAA is talking about the storming the court stuff. Man, forget that. If we would have spent that kind of money and we walked in and got to our seats and we saw Steph or we saw Joel Embiid in street clothes, not even warming up that they're going to play, forget the NCAA, man. They would have saw Pittsburgh and Philly coming in force. We'd have been storming that court for sure. That's just the way it would have been. That's that energy that we would have brought because that's money. We work hard for ours. So if we spend it to go see a game, we want to see the players play. That's just what it is. But isn't it amazing that that's the first thing that came to mind? So in my mind, I'm thinking, man, if I want to see Steph Curry in street clothes, I'll just watch a Subway commercial. Most of the NBA players are in street clothes up there anyway. So I just watch that commercial and I'm good. But I don't want to spend that kind of money just to see them in street clothes. That would be crazy. So do you understand the plight that we as fans have when it comes to load management and the new rule? We can understand both sides, but when you look at it from our perspective, it's a little bit different. And so as fans, we want to see our players play. Now, here's another aspect of it. We talked about the average yearly salary, right? Look at it this way. And then again, tell me what you think. When you work a job and you work hard, and then finally the higher uppers come to you and they say, "Hey, listen, we're noticing the work that you're doing. We're noticing all of the good things that you're doing. And so we want to give you a raise. We want to give you a promotion." Man, you get geeked up, don't you? You ready to go? You're like, yeah. First question you ask, how much is my raise going to be? And then they tell you and you say, "Oh man, yeah, let's do that. I'm good with that." But before they give you that raise, they say, "Listen, you're already doing A, B, and C. But in order to get this money, we need you to do A, B, C, D, E, and F." Now you got a choice. You can decline the promotion and the money and say, "I'll just stick with doing A, B, and C because I'm comfortable with that." Or you can say, "Hey, I want the money, I want the promotion, and I'm willing to do A through F." Now, most of us at work, if it's something that's going to benefit us or our families, we're going to take that promotion. And we recognize what comes with it, and then we accept it and we deal with it. Well, to me, it's the same thing in the NBA, right? Whether you come from the G League, whether you're drafted high, whether you're drafted low, whatever the situation may be, if you work hard and you play hard and you elevate your game and your stature in the NBA, then I feel like when the owners come to you or you go to them with your agent and you say, "Hey, I deserve the max because look at my body of work," And they say, okay, well, we're going to pay you 30, 40, 50 million a year. And you've already been doing A, B, and C. But now we need you to do A, B, C, D, E, and F. So that might mean more promotional work. That may mean needing you to play more games, because now we gotta make this money back up. You're becoming a draw. So in order for that to happen, we need to see more of you. I need more from you in order for you to get this promotion, to get this contract. So every player that gets that contract, that max, these superstar players know what comes with it. So as a fan, sometimes it does get a little bit frustrating to see them kind of complain about things that we feel like, man, we deal with this on a daily basis. And if we complain the way that they did, most of us wouldn't have a job. They would tell us to just basically go somewhere else and go find another job that will pay you what we're paying you. And in some cases, maybe you can. For some of us, maybe we can't. But as a fan, that's how I view the whole resting of players. So I'm good with the new rule. Maybe I'm a little old school. I want to see players. I want to see the best players compete. And that'll be another topic for another day in competition. But when it comes to the resting of players, I'm in agreement with the new rule. At least for right now. Let's see what happens with it. Maybe it works out. Maybe they have to adjust it and make some. But I do think holding players accountable to say people are spending hard-earned money to come and see you. You should be there. That should be the focal point. Now, I gave you prices just for me and my brother, but that was just one person. Imagine a person that's trying to take 2 or 3 of their kids to a game to see one of these superstars, and they don't show up. Man, do they get refunded? No. Do they get some money back? A percentage of their money back? No. Maybe that's the solution. Maybe we side with the players and let the players rest whenever they want to, but if they don't play, fans get a percentage of their money back. Maybe that's the solution, because then that will begin to affect their pockets. Because if the fans get a percentage back, then guess where that percentage actually comes from? It's going to come back from the players. So maybe when they get their weekly check, they see it short, maybe a few $100,000 for not showing up. You know what, fans? Hey, family, we may have just came up with a solution right here on the fly. You never know. Maybe that is it. I'll make sure I reach out to Adam Silver and give him my suggestion. See how that flies. What do you guys think? That's my thoughts on NBA wrestling. You know, it's our first episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have some thoughts, comments, man, make sure you share them on the website. Make sure you share the comments on the YouTube page. Make sure you share it. Again, like I said in the very beginning, I know I won't speak for everybody. Maybe you have your own views, but we can always talk about it. We're going to stay positive. We're going to keep talking. We're going to keep bringing these issues up that are popular and look at it from a fan's perspective. So keep grinding. Keep smiling. I hope you have a great and wonderful day. I hope you have a great and wonderful week. We'll look forward to seeing you. So remember, make sure that you like, make sure that you subscribe, make sure that you follow, and more importantly, make sure that you share. Tell anybody, everybody about the Listen Man podcast. Let's go ahead and get the fans' voices out there. We'll talk to you real soon. Let's go.